Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton. And today's podcast episode, it's more of a catch-up episode. Kind of just going to give you a rundown of what's been going on in my past week and what to kind of expect moving forward. Maybe some personal updates of new ways that I've been looking on certain things and kind of just taking you guys along for the ride. So enjoy this life update episode. But before we get into my life update, one thing that has kind of been coming up to me is that I really need to hire a video editor, a podcast editor, someone to make some clips and reels. So I am currently looking for someone to fulfill that role. The job description is essentially just going to be creating a trailer for my YouTube videos and then also making clips from my podcast videos for reels, for TikTok, for Instagram, for YouTube. So if you feel like contributing to the growth of American Congress Party, the growth of this campaign, this is an excellent way for someone to get involved. So if you do feel called to join this, you can email me support@travelingtoconsciousness.com. That would be the best way to get in touch for something like this. All right, with that out of the way, let's see what's been going on in my life. Well, quite frankly, a lot of things. You saw on the podcast Thursday that we are rolling out that we're going to completely get rid of the income tax. The Americans, we the people, you guys, are just overtaxed. So overtaxed. You make money, taxed. You buy something, you're taxed. You die, you're taxed. The burden of being taxed is forever going, and it's forever and ever. And it never seems to let up, if you will. Everything that happens in our lives ends up getting taxed. Our food. You want to be able to grow food, you're taxed. You want to be able to consume food, you're taxed. It's completely out of control. And so I know that I have, and this is probably an important kind of mind update I've realized is, I've talked before about how I personally think the best way forward would be completely getting rid of the IRS and then going to like a 15 to 20% consumption tax. Now, what I'm realizing with that is like, that's my idea, but this isn't about me. It's about you. It's about we, the people. So that's a pretty radical, I guess. I don't know if it's that radical. For me, it's not radical, but maybe for the average person, that's pretty radical shift. So let's do this slowly. So that's why we've kind of started off with just, let's get rid of income tax. You no longer have to pay that. And this is going to put so much more money in the consumer's pocket. It's crazy. We're talking somewhere between a 10 and 30% increase in your net pay. Not even net pay. You just get to take that money home because it's yours. You earned it. You worked for it. So why in the world are we just giving it to the government to waste? And in most cases, not even waste, but just send to foreign countries. Send to foreign countries where their priority is killing innocent people. So we have to stop doing that. We have to find a way to increase the amount of money that we the people have, that you the people have. So this was something that was a nice revelation to myself recently of, it's not about my ideas, it's about the ideas that the American people want. Because if we look at our current composition of Congress, they're not executing on things that we the people want. We the people, 70%, do not support funding these foreign wars, and yet they're continuously funding them. We the people want clean food, and yet there's no discussion about it. And maybe I shouldn't say no discussion. I believe Tom Massey, hopefully I'm pronouncing that last name right, Congressman Tom Massey, proposed an amendment to the Constitution of preserving and giving the right to we the people to produce whatever food we want to produce and consume. Now, I don't know how much traction it's going to get because it goes against the grain on a lot of corporate ideals, but we'll see. That's my pessimism. My optimism is that we can get this bill through. My optimism is also that I get into Congress so that I can vote for that bill, because that amendment, because that would be tremendous win for we the people and saving food and creating cheaper food, quite frankly. and chemical-free food, cheaper chemical-free food, which is really important, because right now their focus is all on cheaper food, but it's not chemical-free cheaper food. They just want to make cheaper food, and they're willing to put lead in it. I don't know if you guys saw the applesauce thing, but they're finding lead in the applesauce that we're giving to kids. Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Not to mention our water supply. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on that. So we have to clean these things up, right? And this is what a vote for Clayton Terry and a vote for American Congress Party is going to get you, is a vote for ideas that we the people want. So if you want it, I'm going to work to get that to make that happen. And let me see here. And this was something else that I think I've probably slightly altered my viewpoint on today, as I met with someone. I'm going to keep them anonymous for now. But she has 2 children who are on ADHD medication. And she talked about how, they had a chemical-free food diet for the most part. I mean, we have the water supply. I'm sure some water was tainted. Who knows? And I bring this up because I know my viewpoint for the longest time was like, well, if we stop poisoning kids, then less people are going to be medicated. There'll be less ADHD, which is what I always thought. But then in talking with her, she was pointing out a couple things. Number one, what we define as ADHD has greatly expanded over the years, which has also increased the number of cases of ADHD. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing she pointed out was how she agreed that, yes, there are medical, pill pushers, if you will, in the medical industry, because they get more money for the more money they put out there. But what she also pointed out is that it can be a painful process for families in order to figure out the right combination. But she said once her kids found the right combinations, they've been incredible. They've been amazing. They've worked tremendously for her kids. And so just to hear the shift in their lives, before and after, really made me realize is that this medication is helping people. And with that being said, we do need to find a way in order for it to not be as profitable as it is. Making money, the corporate, let's say, influence of making money off of people who are sick has completely ran out of control. And that's definitely something that needs to be brought back into control. And at the same time, we need to be able to get people the medication that they need when they need it. And especially if they need it, and making sure that they truly do need it and that their life is becoming better because of it. Because she was mentioning how people will go their entire lives, with these things, with these problems, and instead of going to medication, they'll turn to alcohol or drugs. Let's say illegal drugs. And that's certainly not a good answer, because now we have no control over the study, right? How much are you drinking? You're not going to remember. The side effects of it are just horrendous. So again, it's a balance. And I think that this conversation really helped me realize again that it is a balance, even in terms of people who need the medication versus it being induced chemically. So there certainly are people who I'm sure have been chemical food victims, if you will, that have needed these things unknowingly. But with that being said, there is also this balance of, well, something's happening. Maybe at a spiritual level, because I'm very spiritual, as you guys know, but at a spiritual level that are bringing in people who are maybe more neurodivergent, who maybe have a little bit more autism. And I think it's probably, I don't know why. We can talk to God when we meet him. But the point is that I'm trying to get at is that there is, this influx. And I think that, there's a beauty to it. I think there's so much wisdom and power that come to these people, because they have this very, I don't want to say a narrow window, but they have a very specific window that they contribute so much to society. And if we over medicate it, then it completely crushes it. But if we under medicate it, then it gets lost in the chaos, if you will. So it was a really great conversation to have. It's definitely updated my opinion on kids with autism, kids with ADHD, just in the fact of how we treat it, and how we need to at least enable parents and give the proper education of how we can notice the signs notice the signs in both directions when there's too much chaos and there's too much order, because we need a healthy balance. We need a healthy balance in society. And that's truly going to be a huge aspect that brings more of that balance into reality, brings more of that balance back into harmony, if you will, which is all what we're all looking for. And I know as an example, what I kind of mentioned earlier in this podcast is that, to plug my own stuff again. No, I'll leave that out. I was going to plug transparency. I was going to plug me needing a video editor and a clip editor, but I don't know. I was trying to be funny and cheeky and then plug myself at the same time, but I don't think it was going to work out very well. So yeah, just want to put that out there. I think another thing that I want to put out there is that if you're looking for another way to contribute to American Congress Party or even my campaign, whether or not you even live in my district, is that you can change your voter registration to American Congress Party. Now, we don't have enough people on the voter rolls yet, but if these things that I'm putting forth, if it's stuff you want, make it known, make it known in concrete, make it known physically, make it known by updating your voter registration to be aligned with the American Congress Party. So you will need to write in the political party at this time. So you just go to your state, you can just type in your state, so Pennsylvania voter registration, and then update your registration so that you'll update your political party so that it's American Congress Party. You'll still be able to vote for whoever you want to vote for in the general elections, so don't feel like this is going to force your vote a certain way. But it sends a message, because we tend to lose focus of how powerful we are. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before, but there's a clip. If you've ever watched A Bug's Life, whenever Hopper, the leader of the grasshoppers, is talking to his comrades after Flick kind of stands up against them, and he's like, I'm not going to put up with your tyranny anymore. I'm not going to deal with the prosecution of my ant people anymore. And Hopper kind of beats him up. Flick keeps standing back up, and it's a pretty powerful scene. But then afterwards, they're in the grasshopper lair, and there's one grasshopper sitting at a bar, and they're kind of joking around about, oh, that puny ant, what does it matter? It doesn't matter at all, blah, blah, blah. And there's this whole canister of what I think were acorns kind of sitting above him. And Hopper's kind of joking with him, oh, yeah, it was just a puny ant, right? And he's like, yeah, haha. And so Hopper grabs one of the acorns and throws it at him. He's like, did that hurt? He's like, no, ha, ha, ha. He grabs another acorn. He throws it at him. He's like, did that hurt? He's like, no, it kind of felt funny. And then Hopper kicks off the lid. The entire acorn canister has this avalanche that crushes and completely kills the grasshopper. And so then Hopper, the leader, stands up on top of it, is like, this is what we're up against. He's like, they outnumber us 10, sometimes 100 to 1. And if we let them know their power and the numbers that they have, they'll destroy us. We stand no chance. He's like, so you have to destroy a revolution before it even starts by, calling out that one ant. And so I say all of this to encourage you to realize that switching your registration to American Congress Party might seem like a very simple act, but in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, it's tremendous. You'll be walking around and maybe it'll come up, are you Republican or Democrat? And you're like, no, I'm American Congress Party. And that one seed, that one conversation could get another person and another person and another person. And then we have our own avalanche effect. We have our own avalanche effect of returning the power to the people, implementing policies that support everybody, where everybody wins, where we now no longer have given up our rights to a tyranny that doesn't serve our best interests, a government that is not creating laws that we want them to create or to pass. I've talked with ranchers who point out issues in policymaking decisions, and tell people what is going to happen, but then Congress does the opposite, and then the terrible thing happens. That was a recent case. I don't know if you heard AJ Richards on the podcast, but you should follow him if you want to hear about ranchers and the issues they're going through, because he tells policymakers what's going to happen if they follow through with things. They follow through things, and then the terrible things happen. So they're not, we keep saying we live in a constitutional representative democracy, but we don't. Nobody's representing us. They're not representing our interests, the interests of we the people. So this simple act of just changing your voter registration could be so, so powerful. So it's something to definitely consider. At least consider it. Don't be a quick write-off, or if it's calling to you, do it. But I say all of this because the power's in your hands. I am but a single person putting out there what I truly believe the individual desires. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's out of my hands. It's up to you guys. Do you want no more federal income tax? Do you want chemical-free food? Do you want upgrading our education system? Do you want us to cultivate peace on earth and stop funding forward wars? I mean, do you want that? I mean, it's a serious question. I mean, to me, it seems like a no-brainer, but I don't know. You have to tell me you want that. And one way is updating your registration to American Congress Party. One way is reaching out. Maybe you're a great video designer. Maybe you're a great, real creator. Maybe you're a great video editor. Let's work together. Maybe you want to volunteer. We've got programs going on. I know Rachel Fiore, our presidential candidate, is working on a program to end homelessness. Before she's even in as president, she's starting a program. And I think there's probably been about 10 people who have already wanted to sign up and volunteer for it. Do you want to do that? Shoot me an email. support@travelingtoconsciousness.com. Shoot me an email. support@travelingtoconsciousness.com. Because it's things like these. It cannot be overstated how our beliefs of one individual, or this programming, let's say, of, well, you're just an individual, you can't really do anything, is so wrong. It's so incorrect. You know 5 people, and they know 5 people, and they know 5 people, and they know 5 people. And soon enough, you're at 100 people. And then 100 people know 5 people. Now you're at 500. 500 people know 5 people. Now you're at 2,500 people. It's a very small, and it happens very quickly. It happens slow, but once it starts going, it'll explode. So don't limit yourself. Know how powerful you are. Know how powerful you are. And maybe, let's be honest. Be honest with yourself. Maybe you don't fully believe what I'm saying. Maybe it doesn't register at a core level. Try. You'll see. You'll see how quickly you start discovering your own power once you start acting as if you have that power. You'll see. Oh, trust me, you'll see how quickly it starts to happen. I've seen it in my own life. It takes time, no doubt. It takes time. There's a lot of bad information out there. And hopefully this podcast gives you some good information spiritually and politically speaking. But once you start moving in that direction, the right direction, the way with knowledge, the way with honesty, the way with so much power, you'll be shocked that all of this power was lying dormant within you the whole time. That feels like a good note to end it on. So just know that I love you all. I appreciate you all. And if I don't see you in the 3rd dimension, then you know for sure that we'll see each other in the 6th dimension.